TYT Sports talking boxing as always with our boxing crew, I guess you could say. Britton Harden, great as Britton. Hello, good to see you again. Robert Exel, the editor-in-chief of boxing.com. Now we have a pretty unique fight in Josesito Lopez fighting Marcos Maidana. Maidana is now with Robert Garcia, Britton. They have gone 2-0. He had to fight one no-name in order to stay active, and he totally crushed him. However, the fight against Jesus Soto Caras was really interesting to me because it was a come-forward fighter against another come-forward fighter. He outlasted Caras. He knocked him out, but it looked like he was struggling in that fight a little bit, don't you think?
I don't think it was so much that he was struggling. I was actually very impressed with his output of work. I think that he was very dynamic. I think that he fought behind a jab, and he actually boxed. And he threw straighter punches, which is something that we've seen him, kind of stray away from. Being a come-forward power puncher, he kind of fell into that persona as a power puncher, and he started to throw his punches wide and looping, thinking that there's more punches on him. But Robert Garcia got him back into the fundamentals of boxing, fighting behind the jab and throwing those punches straighter. And even when he seemed like he was in a little bit of trouble, with his back against the ropes, he rolled his punches. He tied his man up, which is not something that we're used to seeing from Marcos Maidana. So I don't think it was so much that he was struggling. I think that, just that move up from 40 to 47, he had to figure out what his strengths were. And I think he's kind of finding his way.
Now, Robert, Britton brought up an interesting point about how he started becoming more of a boxer, yet it seems like at least the initial reaction is when a boxer is in there and he starts getting hit, he's going to go back to his old ways. Now, Josesito seems like more of the boxer, and Maidana seems like more of the brawler and the power puncher. Do you think Maidana can simply keep that game plan of sort of working behind the jab and being that not necessarily being known as more of a power puncher in this fight and trying to outbox Josesito? And does that work to his advantage as well?
To his advantage. I mean, he has proven himself to be a more versatile fighter than most people thought that he was. Again, he's going against tough competition, so he's going to get hit. Boxers do get hit. I mean, it's sort of unavoidable. That he's able to adapt, that he's able to take on the lessons that Robert Garcia has taught him and use them in the ring is a fair indication of Maidana's sort of ring intelligence. He doesn't have to resort to only that which he knows, but he's able to grow as a fighter and not be a one-dimensional slugger, although that, of course, is his ace in the hole.
Now, Josesito is an interesting sort of fighter because he filled in for Andre Berto, and then Britton, he knocked out Victor Ortiz, broke his jaw in 3 places. I mean, we all know basically the story of that. However, he fought Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. He got the shit beaten out of him by Canelo Alvarez. But I mean, that was his sort of, as people like to call it his Rocky moment, where he overcame a very good fighter in Victor Ortiz, beat the crap out of him, and then unfortunately he got manhandled by a better fighter, a more up-and-coming fighter in Canelo. However, he's fighting Maidana. How exactly can he beat Maidana?
Well, here's the thing about Lopez. He has the guts of a burglar, which in boxing is a great thing, But in order to beat Maidana, which is the shorter man, he has to fight tall. He's 5'10", but he always hunches down and he fights short. He fights small. He brings himself down to the level of the fighter that he's fighting. But for the weight class, he's actually very tall. So I think that to beat Maidana, he just has to outbox him. And he has to resist that urge to get in there and just all out slug. He fights with a wide stance and he hunches down because he thinks that's protecting him from punches. But if he can utilize the jab, fight tall, stay away from Maidana, stay out of the clinches, I think that he can win the fight.
Follow up, how important is it now that he's at his what seems like natural weight? Because when he fought Canelo, he was trying to put on all these pounds. It just wasn't a fair fight. Yeah. It's obviously going to benefit him, but how much more does it benefit him that he's fighting at more of a natural weight? It seems.
I mean, we can go back to the conversation that we had about Canelo and Floyd. When it comes to pounds, pounds in boxing, weight loss, everything that you put your body through, it's going to show up on fight night. So if you're at your more natural weight, then you're going to fight, with that. You're going to fight with a fervor. You're going to fight with a certain confidence because you know that you didn't necessarily put on any extra pounds or deplete yourself to participate in this fight.
Robert, it looks like you were nodding your head in agreement. What do you think?
Very much so. I mean, he is a good fighter. Josesito is a tough fighter, tough kid. He is going to try to box. He is going to try to sort of stay away, but he is going to engage. When he gets hit, he's going to engage. And of course, that will play into Maidana's hands because engaging is really what Maidana is all about. He's got this amazing knockout record, as you know. Stopping Maidana is really sort of like stopping a tsunami. How exactly does one do it? Boxing is the way to go, for sure, but once he gets nailed, he's probably going to engage, and of course, as I said, that will play into Marcos Maidana's hands.
I will give you an example, though. In the Rios-Alvarado 2 fight, the second one, Alvarado actually went back to boxing, and he got hit repeatedly. At times, he would go in there and he would slug a little bit. However, he would then backpedal and be like, you know what? I trained too hard to even start going back to my old ways. So it is possible. I'm not totally saying that it's not possible for that to happen.
But he also had the chin to go along with that strategy. You know, when
you don't think Maidana has the chin?
No, Maidana has a chin. I'm doubting that Josesito has the chin.
I thought Josesito has a great chin.
I think he has a great chin, but he was put on the deck far too much for me against.
At his unnatural weight, though, Britton. You got to remember that against Canelo. Yeah, he got the shit beaten out of him. However, an argument could easily be made that that was an early stoppage, don't you think?
Josesito and Canelo?
Yeah. He was getting up right away. He showed to me that he could take a punch from one of the hardest punchers in boxing. Yeah. One of the most powerful punchers, up-and-comers in boxing. And he kept getting up. The referee saved him from himself. It looked like he wasn't even out there on his feet like Timothy Bradley suffering a concussion. Okay, he wasn't like... Okay, he wasn't swinging like crazy, but he kept getting up over and over and over, and he never looked totally, completely hurt. He was beaten, but he wasn't hurt.
So let me explain this to you. Boxing is a brutal sport, and sometimes sometimes the referee does have to save you from yourself. This guy was knocked down, 3 or 4 times. At one point, he got hit with about an 8-punch combination. He clearly was not demonstrating the ability to defend himself, and that's what the referee has to save you from.
Understood.
Not from the knockdown.
Understood. But the argument that I'm making is that he simply kept getting up, which shows that his chin is just as good as Maidana's.
But he was hit to the body, which is what hurt him. And
he was hit to the body at times, but he took his fair share of headshots.
He took his fair share of blows, and I mean, you know, if he wants to come out of the fight and you know,
what, flex? Is that what you're trying to say?
No,
trying to flex on Maidana?
I'm not saying he's trying to flex, but I mean, if he wants to enjoy his livelihood outside of boxing, then I think that we would all agree that that was a good stoppage. And what I think you'll also notice is that there wasn't too much argument from himself or from the corner when at the time of the stoppage, because they knew at that point it was a failing effort.
Understood. I'm just saying from an outsider's perspective, underrated is what I would label his chin. A lot of people don't give him credit for that.
Yeah, the chin is good, but you just want to see him get hurt.
No, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I want to see a good fight. So now we get down to it. Robert, we'll start with you. Maidana, does he improve to 34-3, or does Josesito somehow get his name back into recognition in the welterweight division?
No, I think his name is in recognition. I think his name will be in recognition. I think his name will remain in recognition even after Maidana stops him in the late rounds.
Okay, so you're saying what, 9th round, 10th round, if you had to put a number on it?
I'd say 10th round. I think he's going to end up taking a battering, but again, it's boxing. You never know. Anybody can win on any given night, but I'm leaning toward Maidana. Hard not to.
Britton, what do you think?
All right, man. I'm just going to go ahead and break it down like this. Based on his newfound boxing ability, based on his power, and based on the better corner, I say that Maidana is going to stop him in the 9th round.
Interesting. As much as I don't want to go unanimous, because I think Josesito is going to put up a better fight than we think, I'm also going to go with Maidana. I think it goes to decision, not necessarily a knockout, only because he has the heart of a freaking lion to keep getting up over and over. Unless the referee jumps in, we shall see. We shall see. Robert Exel, the editor-in-chief of Boxing.com. You can follow him on Twitter at boxing_com. Follow his writing, www.boxing.com. And Britton Harden, follow him on Twitter at GreatAsBritton. That's what it is, correct?
Not on Twitter.
What is it?
Cool as Britton.
You told me it was great last time. You had to make a chyron and everything.
That's Instagram, man. This guy.
Okay, whatever. We'll throw it in the description below. Thanks for watching.